Hey guys, welcome back to Fun with Fallen Flags. So, this is episode 22. Episode 22 is going to take a little bit of a detour, and we are going to throw ourselves back into model railroading hard. It's cold outside, so like most model railroaders, it's time to do it. We got some stuff that's coming up, and tomorrow night is the NMRA meet. It's supposed to be cabooses that are going to be featured. I don't have a caboose that's ready to go. I've got one that's about half done, so that's going to be a non-event. Looking forward to meeting with everybody. This is actually my second NMRA meet, so kind of excited to see that. It also reinforces the energy getting around people with all the same interests and everything else. Enough about that. A lot of photos I've put up lately, and some of them in videos, some of them at the Fine Art America site that I've put up. Again, that's going to probably take a back burner because we're going to go into model railroading hard at this point. So, last week I was really focused on hydrocal molds. I wanted to do some footers for the bottom of the trestle. Talked about that, and I created some footers and try to do this so that you can see them. So they're actually made out of wood, like we talked about in the last video, and on the base and down the center. And then each of these are built up brick by brick. So that gives it a real authentic look. After that got done, I made some molds, and see if you can see these. You can see the texture. There's the mold for the footers, and then cast something out of hydrocal. You can see the brick texture, ends, sides. I really like the way these came out. I know it's a pain in the butt to get all of those individual blocks made out of a mold. A little bit of insanity. Okay, a lot of insanity. If you talk to my wife, a lot of insanity. She actually liked it. She thought it was pretty cool. But you know, she's an art major, so you know how art majors are. And then I decided that I was going to cut one in half and make a mold out of the halves. And I've got these to show for it now. And again, once you do something, just capture it in RTV rubber and you've got it forever. You can just throw something together. Now if I want to do like a retaining wall, or I want to do corner of a building, make a foundation, just make the corner match. You know, throw a little plaster on that joint and then scrape it together so that it looks decent. And then finally, you've got something that I didn't stain these, I just painted them. I painted them with a Tester's Gray, just picked up. I wanted something quick and simple, just so that I could show it. And then I did a brown wash with a dark earthy brown down the side. Alright, pretty simple. And now I have this, but I have several of these that I made. So, you know, if I decide I want to grab a foundation material or whatever, you know, I can do that. So, matter of fact, then my son came by and said, you know, Dad, those would be great for gaming. And I said, you know what? You're a pretty smart kid. I'm glad you're my son. He just walked by and happened to notice them and thought they'd be great for walls and that type of thing. So I took that to the next step, and then I carved out the center of one of the walls, carved it out along the brick lines, hollowed out behind it a little bit, and you know, this is the long one, and I had the short ones too, so of course I had to do the same thing with these. So pretty simple. You know, it just takes time. You know, these were cut in half. So now I have this. I can do this as a wall that's maybe crumbling along the right of way, an old foundation of a building that's not there anymore. You know, I mean, there's a lot of options that you have. And I haven't made a mold of these yet. I think I probably ought to and capture it, because the material for mold isn't that expensive, but all the time and effort of going through and doing this, you know, what's your time worth? That's really what it's down to. So anyway, so let's get on to this week's project. This week's project we're going to do, and let's jump to that. So, mailman brought a nice present. This is a Denver and Rio Grande Western 280 Class C-25 steam engine. It's HO narrow gauge. Man, by Westside Model Company. Made in Japan. Alright. So the project is going to be, we're going to take this engine. I don't know what that is. Looks like a Wallowitz belt buckle. We're going to take this engine, going to paint it, weather it, put sound in it, put DCC in it. So I use a North Coast Engineering NCE system. Let's bring this a little bit closer so you can get a better view of it. Ooh, that looks nice. Alright, we're going to get the box out of the way. Let's see, it comes with the engine, tender, a round cylindrical weight, and this will go into the boiler, and it'll sit at the front right in here, and it'll give the engine a lot more track weight. It'll give it some help its traction, that type of thing. Little plastic piece in here. What is this? Oh, it's a brass dummy coupler for the very front of the tender, because it doesn't have one right now. So you can see in the very front, it's basically just an empty receptacle. But we're not going to use this. We're going to use a KD coupler so that it's consistent with everything else that I have. So a lot of the equipment that I have is Blackstone equipment. I've scratch built some stuff, but essentially we're going to use a KD coupler. So the plan over the next few days is the pilot wheels, the two wheels in the front, like to go sideways on me. May have to limit that so they don't spin quite that hard. Tighten it down a little bit so there's less travel on the nose there. So you can see the screw isn't quite all the way in, so we'll probably tighten that up. We may actually put a spring in here, so it's a little spring loaded, so it actually pushes it up into the bottom of the pilot here. But other than that, it's got a typical drawbar here, a little wire that springs it back into place. It holds it into place for the pin that's on the here on the front of on the very front of the tender. So there's also not a coupler on the rear of the tender. We're definitely going to put a KD coupler there, otherwise it'd be not very useful. So that's what we're starting with. Brass engine, tender, a weight. We're going to have to get couplers, front and rear. Other than that, we need the DCC stuff. So let's put the box away. This is the grand unboxing event. I've used this combination before, so again, to keep things consistent with everything is North Coast Engineering, everything is KD couplers, everything is going to be Soundtraxx as well, just so I don't have to deal with any type of compatibility issues. Now, I've bought these a while ago, so I'm not sure if there's a better choice, but for $80 DCC decoder and a $20 speaker that are compatible that I already own is a lot cheaper than anything else that's out on the market. So we're going to go with these. I also know that these are pretty decent because I've already installed these in another engine, and I'll show you that engine here in a second. So we're going to be putting in a, this is again older, DSD 100-LC 1 amp decoder. Already own it, already used it, like the sound. And the Soundtraxx speaker, it's a model 810086 edgeport speaker. Edgeport, it's got a port on the edge of the box, and that's how it gets its name. So anyway, right here, see, I'm already breaking stuff. So that's our plan, and then we're gonna clean it up, weather it. I can tell you that I don't see really any tarnish on this. It's in pretty good shape. It's got a little bit of dust on it, so we'll definitely want to clean some of that out. But I can tell you that this thing is in pretty good shape. So I test ran it when I first got it, and it ran well on DC. It actually ran probably too fast on DC, so I'm gonna have to watch that, but I can modify that once I get the DCC chip in it, and I can control some of the speed, some of the acceleration, you know, that type of stuff with modifying the CV values. So anyway, that's the project. We're going to start working on this. I'm going to do regular updates so you guys can see what we're working on. That is a Denver and Rio Grande Western C-25. So this will be a little more unique because the Blackstone engines, there's the K27 and the C19s that I already have. So this will give a little bit more variety until we get some more either Blackstone engines or brass, like the K36, K20, the K28, the K36, and the K37. So really need some of those to kind of flesh out. But let me show you the engine that I've already used this combination in. So I started out with, I've jumped around a little bit. I've done Pennsylvania Railroad ever since I was a little kid. A lot of that was based on the Pensy passenger set that I got as a little kid in HO. So big fan of Pennsylvania Railroad stuff. And the other nice thing is it's easy to find. But the other piece of that is I then went into N scale, then I went into back to HO. I've never really been an O gauger, a G gauger, S, F, any of the other gauges, not even Z. I did a little bit of NN3, but then after I lost my mind, I came back and decided I wanted to do something a little bit bigger. So sold all the N scale stuff I had and ended up with HO stuff instead. Replaced any of the brass that I had with HO brass. So this is a 280 Pennsylvania Railroad engine. This has the same model decoder and speaker in it that we're going to use in our C-25. So I know what it sounds like. I know the performance. Now the only caveat is that the sound that comes out of the brass engine in the Pennsy, I think this is an H10. So I'm probably wrong on that. If it's not an H10, it's an H8. So this engine, I know what it sounds like. This engine, it's going to sound the same, which it shouldn't. There should be a custom sound for this. But since this is the decoder that I have and I'm going to use, it's going to sound different than the two, the C19 and the K27 that I already have for Blackstone. So we'll modify the chuff and that type of thing so that the it's synchronized with the wheels, but we can modify the sound and the deep reverberation, that type of thing. So the Pennsy engine, it's done, runs, love it. The C-25, it's next. So we'll get started on this. I'm going to send everybody regular updates, but this is going to be the next big project. So stay tuned.